You hear me?
I can hear you, Paul.
Hello.
I can hear Mike too.
I heard Mike and I heard Andy, but I can't hear the boardroom.
Neither can I. Can they hear us?
No. Liz just texted me. They're calling their tech to try to figure it out. This happened actually last week in the village board meeting too. Or 2 weeks
Really?
ago.
Really?
Yeah. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. Paul, how are you?
Okay.
Space is coming along okay on the third floor, so we'll be back
Yeah.
to normal, whatever normal is, hopefully in the next week or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
How does the new floor look?
Looks pretty nice. They actually got my office done first, a month or so ago.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, all right, we're up and running. Oh, there's the echo. We have an echo? Can you guys still hear us? Can you hear us now?
Yes.
All right, we're having fun. Jesse's now on the go. Or Evan's going on. Okay, can I let Mike start? Okay, Mike. Can do the announcements first? All right, either way. All right, let's do that first. She has an organization. I don't like to mess it up. Okay, so it is with deep regret, we report the passing of our friend and colleague, Northern Wheelchair. We started the meeting with a moment of silence for him, but that's not nearly enough. He was beloved on the board, a man of few words, but listen when he talked. He was my joking partner when I sat over there for 7 years. And I'm gonna miss him dearly. His viewing is from 10 to 11 a.m. on Thursday, with the service immediately following at Star of Bethlehem Church on Spring Street. And our condolences go out to the family and everybody else in the community who loved him dearly. Okay. Sorry. This month is National Hispanic Heritage Month. And there are going to be many community events celebrating this month. Please keep an eye on the update to learn more about that. The very important Ossining School District bond vote will be occurring on September 24th. Please approach any school board member or go to Ossining UFSD, unionfreeschooldistrict.org for more information. And there are signs around with QR codes. There are a lot of different ways to get information. Please educate yourself. Our schools are very crowded and there's a vote on September 24th at the Ossining High School to do something about that. All right, today is National Voter Registration Day. Please don't forget to register to vote for the November 5th general election. The deadline to register to vote is October 26th. Jazz at the Lodge is running Thursday nights at 7 p.m. For more information, please visit jazzathelodge.com/shows. The Project Mover e-bike program has fully launched. If you are interested in learning more about Project Mover and how to use these e-bikes, please visit projectmoverbikeshare.com. The Ossining Boat and Canoe Club is hosting a family fun fishing day on September 29th at noon. $10 for the entire family for fishing, arts and crafts, hot dogs, and more. Westchester Collaborative Theater are starting their fall classes. Please visit their website at wcttheater.org for the schedule and more information. Green Ossining is running one of their repair cafes on September 28th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the community center. Westchester County Department of Energy Service is hosting a volunteer responder drill on Saturday, September 21st from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information, please visit emergencyservices.westchestergov.com. The Bethany Arts Community is beginning preparations for Arttoberfest. It's currently set for October 5th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lots of fun there. They will also be running the Free and Fair Playwright Festival this weekend. It's a reading of mostly comedic works with some very surprise guests from our community showing up. Definitely worth going to, I hear. T-Town will be hosting the Westchester Putnam chapter of the North American Butterfly Association meeting. The meeting will include reports of butterfly sightings by members and discussions of other areas of interest. All are welcome and non-members are especially encouraged to attend. And as always, our Ossining Public Library has a bevy of events, including movies, craft events, meditation, tutoring, yoga, book clubs, and more. See their website at ossininglibrary.org for more information. And for even more events, please watch my supervisor's update on the supervisor's webpage at the Town of Ossining. Okay, anybody? And I did want to shout out the Elks. Congratulations on their 100th anniversary. Big accomplishment, very nice gathering over the weekend. Okay, and one more thing. The spray park is closed for the season, and unfortunately, our concert series has ended for the season. We are all ready for our fall activities. So we will open again next Memorial Day weekend with the spray park and July 4th weekend with the concert series. Okay.
So I will mention one event that's happening Friday, September 27th. There's going to be a band concert at Ossining High School. This is part of the fundraising effort to help the band get to Hawaii for the Pearl Harbor festivities. It starts at 7 o'clock at the high school. And you'll forgive me, I don't know if you have to purchase a ticket or it's by donation, but you have the date and time and place.
Okay. All right. Nobody else has any more announcements. We'll move on to our departmental reports with our assessor, Mike Foissier.
Good evening. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. I have a slide deck to present. Let me go ahead and just turn my video off and share. Okay. All right. So again, good evening. Last time we reported, we had talked about the tentative assessment roll. I'm glad to announce that we just published our final assessment roll on the website. A fair amount of work happens from June 1st to September 15th between those two statutory dates. And some of that includes handling grievances and anticipating our small claims assessment review cases. We are going to present final roll totals to various departments and to the state and to the county. You look at the state of the Ossining real estate market. That's important for our 2025 reappraisal. And we think about what we can do better for the next year, because there are always things you can do a little bit better, lessons learned from the last roll. So this year we received 407 grievances. That was a drop from closer to 500 last year. We provide technical support and factual information to the Board of Assessment Review and do all their processing for them since they don't have staff. We just mailed the letters of determination last Thursday, which was received by most of our taxpayers, most of the grievance applicants over the weekend or yesterday, today. We have mapping work that has to get done to clean up our tax map, process any STAR exemption removals, bank code updates for billing, again, publishing the roll online, transmitting these various reports to the county and to the state. And we resume our rolling sales files to make sure that we're coding our sales as arm's length for valuation in the coming year. And of course, preparing for SCAR. I'm not sure if this is easy to see, but it was the best I could do in this slide. This is the 2024 final assessment roll, which shows the increase in value, a net increase of 6.3% from 7.21 billion in 2023 to 7.66 rather in 2024. So not an insignificant change in assessed value. It was led primarily by residential, anywhere from 7 to 8%, and our commercial was fairly uniform, an increase in value of about 3% across the board. Parcel count stayed at about 10,184. That's a net increase of 7 properties. We had a subdivision on Stormy Town that we processed that increased the parcel count. We have a whole series of totals reports that we can provide. We'll be putting more of this information on the website as well. Here's a look at the change from 2023 to 2024 at the village level and town outside. Last year, the village of Ossining actually was driving the growth that we saw in assessed value year over year from 22 to 23. And although you'll see the histogram here, we have a larger percentage of the value is in the village of Ossining. Its increase was 6.1%, whereas the village of Briarcliff Manor went up 7.3%, and the town outside at 5%. So it flipped around a little. We saw the village of Briarcliff Manor appreciating a little bit more in certain neighborhoods than some of the neighborhoods in the village of Ossining, which had already experienced 2 years of double-digit growth. And that was all. This is all based on sales. This is what we're looking at, what we're reporting, and how it impacts our role. I had mentioned before there were 407 filers of grievances. Majority of those, 3/4 of them are 1, 2, and 3 family homes. 7% of them received reduction offers. 93% were denied. They have 30 days from the filing of the final roll to file with the courts for small claims. Many of our pro se filers, they're very welcome to do this. Some choose not to proceed. The representatives will certainly file for their cases, and then the office will respond, and we'll have to negotiate and work through those cases in the next few months. And it's interesting, by parcel count, although the village of Ossining has the lion's share of parcels in the town, the village of Briarcliff Manor is disproportionately represented here with 44% of all of the grievances. As I mentioned before, just 30 reductions, 7%. It came to just under 2 million in total assessed value. It's really a fraction of 1% of the total assessed value. Again, 1.9 million compared to our 7.66 billion in assessed value. So it really is a relatively small number, comparatively speaking. And again, in other instances, perhaps there's some room for reduction. We'll go ahead and we'll review our comps and see if there's any room in negotiating those small claim challenges. All right, so here's what we were looking at when we approached the 2024 roll. Inflation and interest rates have still not cooled the market as much as we had anticipated. The demand is strong and inventory is still low. Days on market, 17. And the sale prices that we're seeing, they're at anywhere from 4 to 6% above list price. So the data is sort of driving how we respond and how we value on our roll. Graph on the left here demonstrates the significant reduction in the number of sales, number of arm's length sales that are occurring, dropping precipitously from 2020 down to 2024. You can see we were working with 250 to 300 sales 4 years ago, and now we're down to 150. And on the right-hand side, you'll see the median sale price. And again, it continues to climb. Although there are signs of cooling, and we're seeing single-digit growth as opposed to double-digit growth. So that's something. 2025, this is our big reappraisal year. In 2020, we had a major reappraisal, and for the last 4 assessment rolls, we've been doing these updates. So during an update year, we would look at our building permits, we'd go out on new construction, parcels that are reclassified and change in use. We'd look at the market in terms of the sales and any income and expense information we receive. But the reappraisal, which has already begun for 2025, for the June of 2025 roll, it's much more involved. We engage directly with Tyler over the summer in July and August, even before we produce the final roll, to get started on a larger undertaking. So it's building permits and market review, but also data and I&E mailers that have already been sent out to our commercial properties. We'll be sending them to residential homeowners as well. They work with us, Tyler, on doing all new comparable sales models, new income and expense and cap rate models. We're looking at land and cost values. All of our neighborhoods, we need to make sure that the neighborhoods still make sense. Street level imagery, that's new. We are actually having Cyclomedia. It's a company that has been subcontracted out to do the street level drive, sort of like Google Street, but a very high quality, high resolution image capture. And they'll be using AI to determine the best picture that ends up on our property record cards. So we're pretty excited about the integration of new approaches to, well, work that's been done for many generations, but how do we bring in more efficient ways to improve our workflows? And of course, during 2025 reappraisal, we're going to have Tyler in February and March do informal hearings in advance of the tentative roll, so we can settle any potential issues before we publish, to reduce the number of grievances and scars that we see next year. All of this information, the reappraisal timeline, we have a brochure, a number of other important documents, some of which are actually translated into Spanish. You can find that out on the departments page, the assessor drop down. You'll see it on the right-hand side, assessment information. We've got a whole lot of content that we're populating out on the website. We highly encourage taxpayers to avail themselves of this information, because again, we'll be out in the community. Tyler will be out there. We want everyone to know what's going on. Okay. So taxpayers on a regular basis, they'll contact our office to ask about assessed value, information about their property, the history of their assessments. And we often have to send them to static PDF documents. They have to go ahead and do a Control F or scroll down a very lengthy document to find assessment history. We wanted to do something this year that kind of changed things. Now, this is our tax map, and it's perfectly adequate as a tax map. Does offer some information on value, does offer some information about property characteristics, but it's really a tax map. So for the last 6 months, I've been working with the Westchester County GIS folks to see if we can configure a better interface, a new mapping tool that homeowners could really interact with, our commercial property owners could interact with in a way that is just a little bit more helpful and more intuitive. So our existing map application, it has, you could identify the parcel ID, get your record cards, you get some basic information, but it didn't have summary level information, statistical information, value history, and even, neighborhood information. How does my value compare to my neighbors or to the other folks who own homes in the village or in the town? So we designed this. And I'm going to go ahead, and if you'll indulge me for just one moment, I promise I'll be brief. I'll give you a quick demonstration of that. You'll see on our page, we've gone ahead and put it right here at the top, so taxpayers and other folks, anyone really can go out here and launch this new application. And the first thing you're going to notice is that you get some information about the town's assessment roll right there. It's a dashboard. It's connected to live data. 10,184 parcels, and it shows the breakdown between commercial, condominium, co-op, single-family homes, two-family, three-family. We have 7.66 billion in assessed value. The average home value on the 24 roll was 752, and our maximum assessed value on the roll was just over 143 million, a series of utility properties. In order to find your particular block and lot, your address, you can type your owner name. You can put in a parcel ID, or of course the address, that'll work too.
Mhm.
So for example, go ahead and you can start. The drop down will bring you there. This is my computer here at my house. That's a little slow, but let's bring it up. All right. Now, this is not really anything new. This is an Esri product. So you have the owner's name, you've got the parcel ID with the neighborhood, central, Village of Briarcliff Manor, Briarcliff Schools. But here's where the added value is. On this particular app, in addition to just seeing the outline of the parcel polygon and the building footprint, that's great. You're also able to pull up your value. So you never have to go out onto the PDF again if you don't want to. You get some basic information about your property, some characteristics that are important to value, things like acreage, square footage, year built, style. You can check on which school district you're in. I can't tell you how often our office receives questions from realtors and others about where the property is in terms of school district. But this is the part we're really excited about, is we're able to present a 5-year value history on the left-hand side on the assessed value trend, and a companion report graph rather on the right-hand side that shows the median percent value change for the neighborhood, so that folks can see their value changes in the context of what all the other properties are doing in the neighborhood. If that doesn't do it for us, we can move on to the neighborhood tab, where the parcel's value of 1.1, that's an increase of 4.2%, but the neighborhood median value is 1.09. The typical change in the neighborhood was 8.4%. Roughly the same for the village, which was a little bit higher than for the entire town. So this type of dynamic map environment where you can see your property on the left-hand side here, there's a heat map that's superimposed. It gives you like a geospatial context for everything we're doing. I mean, real estate is all about location. We like to think that this type of statistical information is going to be helpful in answering a lot of questions. So we encourage our taxpayers to head on to the website, launch the page. Again, it only takes a minute to look around. You could also just explore the map, but we're going to continue to add upon this over the next few months and in the next year, see what else this app can do for us. And thank you for your time.
Okay. I do want to add one thing, that if you go to your to the assessors and gain all of this information and you disagree with the number of bedrooms or the number of bathrooms, or you don't think that the information that's on there about your property is correct, especially in this reassessing year, Tyler is going around to each and every property and trying to be sure that every house that says 3 bedrooms has 3, and has a pool, doesn't have a pool. So if you think your information is incorrect, please reach out to us and we will work with you to correct it so that you can be assessed properly. So
Absolutely.
it's always a good idea to go and check your card. We are doing the reassessment as New York State requires on our 5th year, to keep up the assessment rolls and stay within their parameters of people of being at 100%. But understanding with the Tyler people going around, and they are going to, at least the outside of every property, they're there to help you make sure that you are appraised correctly. They're not there to, penalize you or do anything like that. They're just trying to make sure that we have the numbers right so that our distribution of assessment is fair. Correct, Mike?
Absolutely. Thank you, Supervisor Feldman. That's exactly what we're doing. And the point of this website was for more transparency. Nothing that we do in the assessor's office is behind closed doors. We want you to see what goes into your assessed values. And as it was just stated, if it's wrong, we'll go out, we'll collect the right data, And again, our goal is only to be fair and equitable with our assessments. That's our entire premise. Yep.
Okay. Any of my colleagues have any questions?
I just want to once again thank you for your reporting style because you make everything so easily understandable and you use layman's terms. And I just appreciate everything is so clear and makes sense to me, who I normally would not understand this type of information. So I just want to say, like, I always appreciate your reporting.
Well, thank you kindly. I appreciate that. And if we're not explaining things in a way that people can understand, we're not doing our job very well because everyone has a right to understand assessment as best as we can do, right?
Yep, and your office has been working very hard in identifying the new technologies and incorporating them in the new programs so that, you know, it can be as easy as possible to understand. And you've really been working hard on that, and it's appreciated. I don't know if we tell you enough, but it's appreciated.
You do, and it's appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to our departmental reports, village engineer, town and village engineer, Paul Farrelly.
Good evening, town board. Can everybody hear me okay now?
Yes, thank you.
Great. I'd like to start my comments today by offering my condolences to the Wilshire family. Northern was a great man. I really enjoyed presenting to him on the board and speaking with him in the neighborhood, and he was really he really got it. He understood what public service was all about. Good man. Gonna miss him. Okay, so I'd like to discuss 3 projects with you this evening. 2 of them I've discussed already, so I'm just going to give you updates, and one of them is new to me. I just got involved in it last week, so I'll start with that. There is a project that the town is looking to undertake at Ryder Park. We're looking to take the previously demolished tennis courts that are next to the tennis courts that were refurbished not too long ago in Ryder Park and create a combination basketball and pickleball court. I've been working with the Parks and Rec superintendent for the town and village and the town supervisor in scoping out their druthers in that project. And I'm sure well before I come and present to you again, I'll have a scope in place with a purchase order in place that is most likely, based on some of my preliminary meetings, will fall within the budgeted amount that we received in COVID funds for that project. Again, just getting involved in that, so give me some time and then I'll have some more details in the weeks to follow. But I'm confident that's gonna be a nice project. The second project that we're working on is the FEMA project from Ida. I believe Storm Ida was the storm that this project was filed under. Some of the actual work that we've completed is in the Dale Cemetery, where we completed the restoration of the retaining wall along the Kilbrook at the southern end of the Dale Cemetery entrance off of Marble Place. We still have some work to complete there, which I was just discussing the purchase order with the supervisor today to bring the wall up to a more aesthetic historical look. We look to complete that work before the end of the year, and FEMA in our bi-weekly meetings has already committed to refunding us for the money we spent in the Kilbrook to date, which is approximately $100,000. So that's nice that that they're on board with that part of the application. The larger part of the application, and supervisor, correct me if I'm wrong, is estimated right now at $3 million in grants. It's a very methodical process that requires lots of layers of review from the state and federal agencies that work for FEMA. So it's going to take some time, but still very much worth it. If we do get these projects approved, then I think when I'm back in 6 months, we hope to have some real positive results from this application process that we've been undertaking for almost a year now. The third project I'd like to discuss tonight is a very aggressive paving project that the town is committed to. And in my most recent conversations with the village town biannual bidder, he believes that he's going to mobilize within 3 or 4 weeks, so probably the middle of October, in the Ganong Drive area. That's going to be following some drainage improvements that Superintendent Connolly just executed in that area. It will include full milling and curb removal and replacement, and then top course paving in that entire area, including Ganong Drive, Deck Road, Tuttle Drive, Robin Drive, Slater Drive, and Parker Lane. And another little road that connects that area to the water tower, which name always escapes me. But again, we look to mobilize in the middle of October. Well aware that that's a very busy neighborhood with respect to children. With Halloween coming around, we're gonna make sure that the area remains safe for the folks that live there and travel in that neighborhood. So I'll be completed with that by the time we come back and present to you again. But again, we will undertake it in the middle of October. Spoke with the superintendent again with regard to notifying the residents, the school district, and everybody else before we commence with the work, so everybody is versed on what's going on, and appreciate in advance those residents and the people that travel through that area cooperation and following all posted no parking signage, etc., to allow us to complete this project. Thank you.
Okay, and we are being joined by our Ossining Historical Cemeteries Conservancy wonders in the audience. So we have done the emergency repair to the road, to the cemetery road, to make sure that it doesn't leave from the storm last September, that it got washed out. So we stabilized the wall and put back the road, but it wasn't looking historically accurate. So we're doing that extra stack of paperwork or two, and having the deeper conversations with the state's historical conservation and preservation, so that we can face it with the field stone to appear to be historically accurate, to preserve the feel of the historical cemetery that we are so proud of, and that, you know, your group does so much work to preserve and keep accurate. So just so you know, we're making sure and doing that extra step, trying to maintain the accuracy. And there are a couple of other areas that got damaged during that same storm. You know, a couple of the roads washed out a little bit, some of the stairs, and we are currently working with FEMA to get that identified and see if they won't help us get that back to the pre-storm conditions. So, but as Paul said, we're meeting them weekly to forever, I think. But, you know, hopefully we'll get the money that, to get it back together.
Just to
And-
give some, I just append what you just said about meeting them, just to give some context. The town embarked on a FEMA reimbursement project. And again, I forget the name of the storm, when Old Albany Post Road extension, which is just I don't know if everybody here knows where that is, but it's basically the dead end across from
It
Gillick.
was Sandy.
Right, so
11.
the original application for that the town made was, I think, $25,000 reimbursement for some road restoration. And then we started getting involved with them in deeper layers. And after many years of application, they finally gave us, I believe it was 85 to 90% of the reimbursement for that project, which was almost $2 million. So it is a process, but if you really grind away at it, you eventually, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's just, they make it very arduous. But we have a lot of worthy projects in front of them, so we do hope to we'll
lot.
get some funding for those in the future.
Yes, and one you're talking about, I signed off on it about 10 years after the beginning of the project. So, yeah, takes a while sometimes, but thank you. All right, thank you, Paul, and we're very
Thank you.
excited to see the results of all of the fine work you've been doing. I'm excited to see the new basketball court. That's something that my own son's been asking for. And he's not alone in Austining. And pickleball, yeah, I'm just hoping, I'm glad that we were able to designate separate areas so that we don't have to have the pickleball people face off against the basketball people. Because they're all very passionate. And I think it's going to be a great project. Any of my colleagues have any questions? Okay, thank you for all that you do for us.
Yep,
Thank you.
he does double duty for the town and the village, so we appreciate you.
And with all the DRI projects, he's hustling, as is Andy, who is coming up next. So Andy, why don't you talk to us about all of the wonderful things that you're working on?
Good evening, Town Council and Supervisor. My condolences to Northern's family as well. What a gentleman he was. He was just a pleasure to work with all those years. So he'll be missed greatly. Just to talk about a few projects. The Cedar Lane Arts Center roof was replaced recently, and the job turned out really excellent. The roof is ready for future solar infrastructure, so the supervisor and myself will reach out this week or next week to solar infrastructure people to get input so we could figure out how we're going to move forward. Looking forward to that. This week we had met with Hudson Engineering to scope out the demolition of the town restrooms at the waterfront for the CDBG project. They will provide us with an engineering estimate to the county for overall, so the county requires that to approve the overall project. That's a pretty big deal, but moving forward with that same thought process, the new bathroom design, so it's the same firm, Hudson Engineering, they're designing the Engle Park bathrooms, and that's been submitted to the county for their approval to the planning department. So obviously, like the supervisor brought up, we're not going to rip down bathrooms until the new bathrooms are built. So that's the order of operations that makes sense. We've been making progress on the third floor. As you can see, the town offices in the last 2 weeks. Once the flooring is complete, we'll move to the second floor for the village offices. It's a pretty big deal because we did have some tiles that had asbestos in it, and we had to follow protocols, government protocols, on how to cover that tile or remove the tile. We decided to cover the tile, but it involves the Department of Labor and special testing, and everything was done correctly. So it took a little time, but we're moving forward. And the new flooring is going down, which is the important part. The new Indian Brook water filtration plant, the construction's underway. Work's been focused on the site work, so like the sewer, the gas, the electrical power. They're forming up the duct bank for Con Ed to bring in larger power from the street. And the project itself will take 39 months to complete, but we're really looking forward to just keep moving forward with this. Once the footings are poured, obviously the concrete work will probably happen the beginning of the spring. And if we have a warm winter, we'll keep moving forward with concrete work. But in the meantime, the contractor will be taking out old pipes that are in the driveway, that are in the way, that are not being used anyways. So it's a pretty intense project, but we're moving forward. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions? All right, no, we are looking forward, you've been working with us on all of the projects down at the waterfront and, and the new CDBG applications as well. So we're very much looking forward to getting that new bathroom built down by the kayaks where the, health department would like it to be closer to the water park. Removing the old one to open up the space, and then, getting that stage, the new stage design that, we got funding from the DRI and more recently from our Assemblywoman, and the senators offering to help as well, so that we can have a state-of-the-art performance space to bring our community down to more and more types of entertainment. So we thank you for helping us coordinate all of that. And on top of, creating the new water filtration plant that will, serve us for generations to come,
We
or
appreciate
at
it.
least decades.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
better.
Paul, hi, Paul.
Hi, only because you mentioned the waterfront, I wasn't gonna discuss it tonight, but would you like me to give an update on the $30,000 grant and the outfall
Yes,
study? Okay, so last time I was in front of the board, we were going over the DEC grant that the supervisor secured for $30,000 to investigate the outfall and anything else tributary to the Hudson relative to the town's consideration of creating a swimming environment at Engle Park. So there's some protocols they wanted to follow with regard to testing. And we embarked on those testing protocols and surveys about 2 to 3 months ago. A lot of it is actually in the village because we're studying the stormwater systems that are tributary to Engle Park, where it interfaces with the Hudson. So much of that work is started in the Kilbrook, and we work our way upstream. Because as you know, that's tributary to the Hudson, just by Westerly Road and Quimby. So we've probably surveyed at least dry weather surveyed at least 40 to 50 outfalls. And I'll say fortunately, but unfortunately, we have found some sources of contamination through some of our stormwater system that has illicit discharge, primarily based on either broken or inappropriate connections to our storm system by a sanitary sewer system. We're working to correct those with the building owners and the property owners. And the ones we found have been corrected to date. And we're actually tracing a couple others now. And then when we're done with those, we're actually going to come down to the outfalls that discharge directly into the Hudson that you see when you walk along the Engle Park Trail there and do some final testing there. So yeah, the study is bearing some, I'll call it unfortunate fruit, but it's nice that we're finding it because it really is in trace amounts and there's nothing that you can really see. And there's nothing that really brings us to a level of contamination to be concerned about, even with respect to beaches, but still finding them. And when all that stuff is cumulative at times and maybe gets exacerbated during high rain events, when the system is taxed, it's good to get rid of them. So it's a great study, and I'm glad that we're undertaking it in cooperation with the town. The village is really working together with the town doing this project. And I think probably the next time we come in 6 months, we'll probably be bringing the consultant who is helping us with this study to present to you so we can give a cumulative report.
And I thank you for the work that you're doing, as well. I will say that Riverkeeper said we are the 5th cleanest beach along the Hudson, which doesn't say a lot because we did not pass. We're very close to passing the health department's requirements to open a beach, but we did not meet the criteria, which is why we started the exploration into, well, where is what coming from? And how can we make that water clean for whoever goes in there, be it a kayak, my dog, swimming, whatever. Kids, kids in the sailing camp or people who swim, even though we're not quite there yet. So, we're excited that we're identifying some of the sources, and we're hoping that as this study wraps up, we'll be able to test and get a much better result.
Yeah, it's tough because even if we do ameliorate all the sources of illicit discharges, in the entire village and the town. That's not to say that the sources of contamination that are making their way into what we'll call an eddy, if you will, which is where the water kind of swirls around a little bit based on the geography of Angle Park and how it's just tucked in that little peninsula there by the prison and the wastewater plant. We don't know that even if we clear all these up, that we're gonna meet the standards of opening a beach, but we're gonna do our part, right? We're gonna act locally and hope that everybody else does the same and we find good results in the Hudson when we test it next year.
Absolutely. Yep. There are many different sources, not just the ones we're looking for. So anyway, thank you for the work that you're doing on that. It's appreciated. All right, questions? Okay. All right, moving on, the highlight. We have a presentation by the Ossining Historical Cemeteries Conservancy, OHCC, on some projects that they're looking forward to doing, some projects and some events that we're looking forward to hearing about and hopefully moving forward with. So come up to the microphone, introduce yourselves, please. Can you switch your camera or should we have them sit down? So do you want to have them sit maybe and have Chrissy go by you? Okay. Fine. I just am you know, at least on the side, we can see your faces. It wasn't your ideal view.
Hi, I'm Regina Albinus, one of the board members.
I'm Joyce Sherrock Cole, board member.
And I'm Joyce Markovics, the other Joyce, board member.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
So we'd like to present you our proposal for the Leduc plot. But I'd like to just give you some background in case you're not familiar with our organization. We were founded in
Next slide. Sorry. We have to.
yes. We were founded in 2013. In 2018, we developed a historic heritage trail in Dale Cemetery, which was in conjunction with the town of Ossining and a grant from the state of New York. I skipped half of what I was going to say. I apologize.
You can go back, that's fine.
We are a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to preserving, enhancing, and sharing the beauty and history of Dale and Sparta cemeteries. We do a lot of community outreach. One of our main outreaches is our monthly gravestone cleanings, which run from May to October. And in those workshops, we are able to teach community members how to care for historic gravestones. It's an opportunity for children in the school district to collect community service hours. In fact, my son used to come and clean to collect his service hours, and he actually performed his Eagle Scout project in Sparta Cemetery and completed that in 2022. Yes, we're very happy.
Can we flip to the next slide?
Joyce has also provided teacher workshops for the Ossining School District. And one of our favorite activities is the picnic, jazz picnic in the cemetery, which we hold every October. And it's a lovely event where we have the community come out and enjoy the beauty of the cemetery.
I will say I've been to that and it was really an amazing event, and to think that in years past that was what people used to do
Yes.
was, to visit and include their passed on loved ones and picnic every one day, and over the weekend, and, have music and family gatherings there all the time as a family outing. I remember your group explaining that during one of your talks, and it just is fascinating in the fact that our cemetery was designed by the same person who designed Central Park. Dale was, and that's what it's designed for. So I'm always excited when you do that event. It's lovely.
Do you have the date for this October?
It is, it's October 6th from 2 to 4.
Okay, I'm gonna let them continue. I interrupted. I'm sorry.
We can flip to the next slide, please. Thank you. This just sort of shows what we do, and there's a picture of our jazz picnic. Next slide.
Surprise, I get to do history. So before I start with the history, I want you to keep two things in mind. One is when you write a will, when you leave things to people, you want something done. How important to you is it that it's done in perpetuity? Because you're trying to secure that for your family or your loved ones. And then two, as the country is about to celebrate 250 years in 2026, all the talk is about the revolution. And then the charge to each community of how we're going to celebrate and recognize what we've done as a country to become a country. So keep that in mind as I'm talking about what we want to do at Sparta. So Sparta is our most historic organized cemetery. That's a different story. We could talk about the different houses that had cemeteries, but they weren't organized. Talk about that later. And it has the early settlers of Ossining. It's a big history lesson sitting right there in Sparta. And it's a popular place to go. You have the ghost hunters that go there. You have the people that are history buffs. And we have our Revolutionary War veterans through World War II. The revolution's going to keep coming up. And the Ladue plot. Centered right in the center is this beautiful and celebrated centerpiece. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the Ladues. You can advance the slide, please. So the Ladues, who were they? The Ladues were of French Huguenot ancestry. They are the American story in this one plot centered in Sparta Cemetery. This family immigrated into the country to start a better life for their family. They came in, they were on the property of Lord Phillips before the Revolution. And after they were tenant farmers. Now, Abraham is the dad. Abraham was a public servant, as you are, as I am, as we all are, serving the public. He was a fence viewer, and he was the overseer of the poor for the village. He also was a blacksmith. His wife was a loving, doting mother that was a widow, and that he was her second husband. And she had 3 children before, but she wanted nothing more than to give her husband children. So the first child, Sarah, she dies. She is the oldest. Sarah is the oldest stone inside of Sparta. So that's the other historic thing in this one plot. Sarah Stone being the eldest. Then Sarah dies. So she just wanted to give her husband, now they're in their 40s when they're having these kids. He wanted a boy, and he got his boy, Abraham Jr. And then he dies at 7 years old. So mom is devastated. She wanted to give her husband kids. She gives him kids, and they both die. So if you see on top of the stone, you see the bird is plucking at herself and spilling her blood into the nest. It's an ode to how she felt as a mom to lose her kids. It was a testament to her love for her children. So there's so much you learn in a cemetery about the people that lived here. And it's exquisite to just be in there. Now, why is the other stone, Abraham Jr., important? So it's the lore. So we have the family story and the lore. The lore has everything to do with the revolution. So for many years, we were attached to this lore that the vulture who was the guardian of the Hudson River during the Revolution, when the whole Major Andre and Benedict Arnold things happening, and then the stone, they shot and the stone went right into little Abraham's his stone. The
cannonball
cannonball went
went
into the stone. Well, there's really no evidence of that, but we've been holding on to that for many years. It's still part of our story because it's the lore.
Mhm.
And it's fun for the historians to go and research and find out, well, that might not happen, but something happened. So you have these historic things, and I don't know if I mentioned that Abraham Senior was a captain in the Revolutionary War. So you have an immigrated family that wants to come here and make a better life for their family. They do the best they can. There are tenant farmers in there working. They have kids. They lose the kids. He serves in the war, and he is a public servant. And the most compelling part of this history is the thing he left in his will. Remember, I asked you to think about what you leave in perpetuity for your family. He put in his will, and I just want to read it really
And can
quickly.
we advance to the next slide? Sorry.
Sorry, I just talked.
That's okay. So there it is, there it is. That's Abraham.
That's where the
Senior's-
cannonballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the yes.
Before and after.
So he leaves in his will. And it says, seventhly, I order and direct my executors out of the remaining monies, if any, and this is in 1799. If any monies to erect or cause to be erected around the graves of my father, mother, myself, and my family, a decent enclosure. And eighthly, the monies that remain, if any, to be paid by my executors or either of them into the hands of the trustees of the Presbyterian Church of the town of Mount Pleasant, to be by them, then being and their successors put out an interest forever, the interest accumulating therefrom, there's a lot of words, to be by the said trustees and their successors, that is you, all these years later, appropriated to the keeping and repair the enclosure that may be erected around the graves of my father, my mother, myself, and my family, aforesaid, and to the enclosing the burying ground belonging to the said church, and now the town, at large, and to the keeping of the enclosure and repair forever. So when we leave something and we have a wish, we mean for it to be in perpetuity. So that is why the Ledoux family is so important to us historically, because of who they represent as Americans. The lore that came along with them tells another American story, even though it might not have been so true, but we still went and learned about Arnold and Andre. But the wishes that it's so cool that OHCC does the work. So when we clean the stones, there's a record that is made of everyone that's clean. And our magnificent board member, Patty, goes back and researches each person and gives a report to every volunteer of who they clean. So we get to know the people that lived in this community and they're never forgotten. You can advance the slide.
All right, now onto the condition of this enclosure. And as you can see from the photo, the bricks are in really, really poor shape, as is the wall. So for a very, very long time, the wall has been deteriorating. And so the OHCC has enlisted 3 experts to sort of assess the condition of the wall, and they're all historic preservation experts. One was Tom Clemens, who, as you know, worked on the Dale Cemetery cottage. So all 3 of these experts determined that, we weren't sure about the age of the wall. And when they looked at the bricks, they were able to determine by looking at the size and the type of mortar that the bricks are actually not that old. They likely date from the mid-1800s. And the side of the wall where the stones are embedded is probably even newer from the early 1900s. So one of the biggest problems is that wall where the stones are embedded in is leaning and threatens to pull the stones down should it collapse. And there are also sort of like gaps in between the grave markers and the wall where like water collects and freezes. So it is not an ideal situation that these stones are in that wall. Therefore, we want to do something about it. We really feel like, as Joyce explained, that it is our duty to take action. Next slide. So we would like to propose replacing that brick enclosure with a new similar one. And to do that, experts would need to sort of like carefully remove the bricks so we don't harm those wonderful stones. And then the wall that they would reconstruct would leave those grave markers freestanding. And in doing so, we're really honoring Abraham Sr.'s wishes and preserving, the integrity of the stones. And so the OHCC, we've commissioned some preliminary sketches of what this new wall could look like. And these drawings are just preliminary, please keep in mind, but they really help us envision what could be. And excuse me, we would also like to propose installing a sign where Abraham Jr.'s grave used to be, and it would sort of be the same shape as the original stone and just include important information about him and the history of the stone. Next slide. So there's the current wall. Next slide, sorry. And here's what it could look like. So there's some blue slate on top and along with in the front and a bar that sort of prevents people from walking inside the enclosure. Next slide. So here it's just brick in front instead of that blue stone. Next slide, please. And this one includes like a gate with an L on it. Next slide. And so here's what a prototype of what the sign could look like, which includes the original inscription that appeared on Abraham Jr.'s grave marker, along with some information about the Ledoux family and Abraham, the Revolutionary War, and the Cannonball story. Next slide.
Okay, so now this is where we ask you some things. One, it is your house, so we want permission to move forward. That's the first ask. And then the second ask is to partner with you, is to not put more on your plate, but to take on a brunt of the work. That would mean independent fundraising from us for this project. We've already identified some grants, but they have to originate from the owner. So we would prepare it, but we would give it to you to submit because we can't do it on behalf of you. And if you know of some grants that we don't, we would do, like we said, take the brunt of the work in writing. We have an editor right here who's fantastic. And we don't want to give you more, but we really think this is really important.
Okay. We have grant writers that we work with that may know. But I've found during our grant processes that it's the narrative that really kind of makes it, so you're not off the hook.
That's okay. We don't want to be off the hook. Yeah.
I will add that you might also want to contact Dana Levenberg's office, because when I worked for Sandy Gallup, we would regularly receive emails from the state regarding all kinds of, like, it was just sharing all kinds of grants that are available. And so I'm assuming they still get those emails. So maybe someone in her office can help you. Yeah.
So that's it. It might. Yeah.
Does anyone have questions?
Yeah.
Oh, I commend you on taking the initiative to do this. I mean, to preserve history, that's one thing that I always love to do, being an immigrant myself and all that. So yeah, I'm good for this. So whatever we need on a town part, I think we'll partnership together.
I do have a question. I'm curious why the new design does not have the bricks in between the headstones to fortify it as opposed to the bar?
So that is something that we could totally modify and do. That's something that we discussed, but that's why I said these are very preliminary, but we could sort of, have little sections of brick in between each stone or even going behind the stones. So, but not touching them, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not questioning the design. I don't know anything about design.
No, yeah, no.
I'm saying that like, I'm thinking what is gonna hold it up the longest amount of time. I'm just thinking like bricks in between would be fortifying more so than like the bar across, but I don't know.
No, yeah,
I'm just
perhaps
like-
you're right. It's
yeah.
just something that we need to discuss more and yeah.
Yeah, because it's like that now. So I just think,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
We didn't want to put too much money into the preliminary drawings and you said no.
very smart.
Any other questions?
You gotta say that your website is really, really good and informative. I actually logged into it like a couple months ago because I like brand new to trying to learn about cemeteries and the details that you guys have there for like Dale Cemetery in Sparta. I was like, I never knew any of these facts. So just want to commend you guys on the wonderful website you have guys running.
Thank you. That was, I mean, I think we're so passionate about history and passionate about storytelling. And really connecting the past to the present. So I think we really tried to like tell because you visit a cemetery and it may be beautiful and picturesque, but there are stories are there. And that is like so incredibly compelling. So, that's why we really, really want to Sparta is so incredibly special. And let's preserve it the best we can, before we like these stones. I mean, especially the Pelican stone is just like, one of the most magnificent stones I've ever seen. And I go to a lot of cemeteries.
I will say, I am in favor of this project, and looking for funding sources we can definitely work on together. Whatever fundraisers, the concert, whatever else you can do. I think it's a worthwhile project. I will also say that sorry, I will also say that a lot of people take advantage of the historical walk through Dale Cemetery. And it really adds something when people ask what they can do, to experience the history of Ossining. The research that you've done into the characters there. And, I like the idea of the plaque that really tells the history. And I think that brings more people to our area because it's not just looking at a cemetery, but there are different sources of information and about the families and telling the stories. Which get people more engaged in the cemetery and make them, connect to it better, which hopefully will lead to us being able to preserve it more.
And I'm glad you
So-
said that, Supervisor. We'll be coming back because we have some ideas about how to celebrate the 250th by way of the cemetery.
Absolutely. I know that we have some history there and in other areas, so open to the conversation.
Yeah, thank you for this. And I also just wanted to make an offer. I'm very good friends with the state historian. So if there's an opportunity there to collaborate on the 250, let me know and I'm happy to get in touch.
Well, I was
So-
just curious, one thing, Joyce, any more of these type of monuments in our cemeteries, or is this
You mean
one?
most elaborate?
Yeah, this elaborate, no?
Not in Sparta. This
Not
is
as
the
far
most
as
elaborate.
Annandale and all this, is this the only one, Petco?
It's unique.
Yeah, it's
Unique.
I mean,
I
I've-
never see, that's why, is that the only one
Yeah,
that we
and
have?
to find the will to say to take care of it.
Wow, that's
It's an
awesome.
incredible story.
Yeah, no.
And it also,
Yeah.
sorry, if you want to hold that up for, so three of the stones have these soul effigies, like the heads with wings. And I think we determined that they were all carved by this like very famous, stone
Artist.
carver, Zuricher. I mean, and they have these sort of distinctive pointed chins. So like, that's something else that's incredibly special about the stones, not just their age, not just the people who are buried there.
And we brought it up before, bringing the teachers there has changed their perspective, that they're now asking to bring the students. Because we taught them how to come there, research, go back, use genealogical research methods and teaching them that way, and they really enjoy it.
And I think that gives the kids a connection to both the past and the community and understanding that, you know, this wasn't, we have a lot of vaults and elaborate headstones in Dale, especially that we've been trying to restore, but this wasn't, you know, a millionaire in our terms, but you know, this wasn't a very affluent family. This was somebody who really cared so deeply about his family that, you know, he put that together in perpetuity. You know, somebody who's of service to the community and not just, you know, one of the more wealthy residents. So I think that makes it even more special. You know, then preserving that, I think is important. So
Thank you all.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay.
I put it in my phone.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, one thing, ladies, if somebody would like to join the OHCC, I know you are a not-for-profit group, so is there a path for that?
Yes.
Wait, you need to,
She didn't want it. I didn't want it.
You can visit our website, but there's no like membership or anything. We sort of invite everyone to, you know, come to one of our cleanings and if you want to make a contribution, which we very much welcome and appreciate, you can also find information on our website. So it's
Okay.
AustinHistoricCemeteries.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and our last conversation for the evening is that we are moving over to a .gov. The New York State and other entities do not want to hear from us from a .com anymore. They don't want, you know, they do not want to communicate. Yeah, there are so many different spams and scams and ways that people are trying to take advantage of, you know, seniors and the rest of the population. A .gov is email is a very challenging thing to get, as we had identified. And we've been working on it for a while. The village went first, and it's a much more secure platform. You can't duplicate that. Do you want to talk a little bit? Go.
Yeah, I'll just talk a little bit more that our IT department has let us know. So basically, like, as of right now, everything, because you know, we don't want emails to be bouncing back and forth, everything is still going to remain as it is, with both emails kind of sort of being active, but the ones that are currently in .com will be just forwarded over to the new .gov. As we progress throughout the year, just like the same way that Westchester County did, and all our emails will be putting in, you know, just please note that our new emails are this, to try to start changing everybody's, you know, what our emails are. Additionally, all our letterhead, our town cards, everything, as we go through them and use them, we're going to be changing them over. So you're going to be noticing changes here and there. But again, if anything is still sent to .gov, to .com, it will be forwarded to .gov. So it's not that we're not going to receive any of these emails. The .com email addresses are still going to be active for a minimum 5 years. They're still going to be active, and anything's going to be forwarded over to .gov. So if you don't get the new emails, you don't get the notices, it's still fine. It's still going to be forwarded. We're still going to get the emails. That's the biggest thing that our IT department wanted to highlight. But after that, yes, everything will slowly be changing. So you'll see changes on the web page, you'll see changes on the supervisor's update, and everything going forward changed over to .gov. We just want to let the public know and not just spring it up on them randomly.
All right, so I did notice when I sent an email, it seemed to come from .gov now. So if you send an email and it says, you know, you check your email address on that list and it says .gov, that's what happened. But you know, you can, anybody reaching you, as Martha was saying, anybody emailing you through .com will be at least 5 years, and in 5 years we'll reevaluate, do we need to
Not accruing
So it's-
cost pretty much.
Right,
by
so
changing our-
it's your current email, austiningnewyork.gov. So there's an NY on the end of it.
And there's nothing that, like the board members or anyone has to do on their devices in order to make that transition. It's just being done automatically.
Yeah, to our knowledge, it is being done automatically. It's just, again, when I did it the first time, I had to like physically click the .gov and then your computer or your cell phone or however you're sending an email just automatically picks up the .gov to our knowledge. But like I said, again, if it doesn't pick up, if it takes a while, these email are still gonna be active for 5 years at minimum. So they're just gonna be forwarded and, we'll be noticing it. I know that the county did the same thing last year. And for like the full past year, they've just kind of been reminding everybody, hey, these are our new email addresses.
And we're letting the village work out the glitches first. Okay, questions?
So technically, this is a town hall meeting, so we should open it up to the public if there's anyone who wanted to speak on anything that was discussed this evening.
Yes. Is that your bed? Okay, good. All right. Okay, all right, seeing no one. I would like to thank everyone for joining us. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Matt? Yes, we do need a motion.
Are we adjourning or are we going to executive?
We're gonna be adjourning to executive session
For.
for advice of counsel. Personnel and contracts and pending litigation. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all for coming.